Okay. First of all, I'm one of those people who doesn't like the notion that what we had in Egypt was a Facebook revolution, a Twitter revolution. Mainly because we lost the internet on the 27th of January, and yet we managed to get people out on 28th, on the 2nd, and so on and so forth. And it comes from the fact that Egyptians, like many Middle Easterns, are natural social network groups, basically. You take away our internet and our phones, we've managed to find each other. However, it was a tool, and it was a very important tool to get us where we are right now, and I guess it kind of started in 2005. Back then, I was part of what is referred to right now as the Old Guard, which is a group of 30 Egyptians on the secular left and secular right, who started blogging because the internet was the only space of freedom of speech that we had. We lived in a very conformist society, and all of the issues that people need to talk about were usually stuck under the rug. When we started writing, we realized people had hunger for information. Not only that, they started using our blogs not only for the news, but also to know when our demonstrations going to happen, when are we going to do certain events and stuff like that. So it became a very important organizational tool. For the fan movement of 2005 against our re-election. Around 2006, we managed to make big strides in pushing the national media into actually acknowledging a number of things and changing things in many ways. We started using the use of language in Arabic. We used more colloquial mix of modern standard Arabic, which is more of the youth language as opposed to the classical Arabic that the newspapers used to write. That many of the newspapers actually changed the way they used to write their articles and the way they actually figure out how to do their editorial lines, because they figured out that there's a new market and they need to cater to it. We also managed to push issues such as the sexual harassment of women, which usually nobody wants to talk about, and police brutality and torture. And we forced the users to actually go into, for the first time, showing cases of police torture of actual civilians, which led to the first trial and conviction of a police officer in the history of Egypt for torture in 2006. When 2007 came along, that's around the time when Facebook opened itself for all the users. So suddenly, that's when focus slightly shifted towards Facebook and Twitter alongside with blogs. We immediately realized that Facebook was fantastic at organizing events and spreading information to a specific number of people, and people that wouldn't read about otherwise. And Twitter, at the time, which there were no smartphones, so it was all done through SMSs, became a fantastic tool to let people know who is getting arrested when they're about to get arrested. It became very important in terms of letting people know what's happening right at the minute. Due to the nature of Facebook and Twitter, the roadblocks kind of took a backseat in 2008, 2009. Because when we first started in 2005, there were 30 of us. In 2006, there was about 3,000, 5,000 blogs in Egypt. And by 2007, which we call the third generation, it was between 150,000 and 200,000. So we lost track after 2006. We didn't even know who was writing what anymore. We didn't even know what was happening. But it was a spark that led to more freedom of expression and more dialogue and engagement, which kind of started the ball rolling in Egypt. And then came 2010, which included the murder of Khalid Said. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story, but Khalid Said was an Egyptian middle-class guy. He was in a cyber cafe. The police officers came in, they started harassing him, he fought with them, and then they basically killed him in the street. They beat him to death. Now, the murder of Khalid Said and the case of Hamad caused an uproar in Egypt, and in many ways, people thought that the movement of, where all Khalid Said had started was actually a precursor for the revolution. And the reason why that worked out so much wasn't because of how brutal the face of Khalid looked like after he got killed by the police, but the image that Khalid Said's face basically it was before he got attacked. He looked like everybody's son, everybody's cousin. He looked like someone your daughter could be married to. And that greatly disturbed the middle class, because the middle class, for the longest time, had made a bargain with the devil. And this exists in almost every Arab country, in which they don't care what happens to them who are marginalized in terms of police brutality or torture or what their rights are, as long as they believe that they're not going to be touched by this. And the moment they started seeing that this is factually true, the moment you allow, the marginalized and the poor and those who don't have the money or they need to defend themselves, get abused and killed by the police force. That's when, you know, whole society was untrained. In reality, we managed to achieve two things. The first one was, since 2005, all we wanted to push to the people is one idea, is that if we all manage to unite and come out in force and go to like big squares everywhere protesting against the government, you can actually bring down the president, which we managed to do, which everybody else is managing to do, and in which, you know, we keep hoping one day, so yeah, we'll keep waiting for the good news. And the other one was the concept of society itself, that if the people that are tasked to protect, i.e. the police and the army, start killing their own people, and nobody gets outraged by this. That's the lowest you can go as far as society. You know, the next day you're gonna have is putting little babies in racks and eating them, because that's as low as it's gonna get. After that, cannibalism is the next step. You know, if you don't get outraged by the police or the army killing your people, then you won't be outraged by anything. So we managed to do all this, and we came to 2010, and by that time, we had better tools, so to speak. We had smartphones, which made the dissemination of information much easier, which made people know what's happening much quicker. And it actually resolved the problem that most people said about social media, that could it be reliable in terms of journalistic integrity? Because the moment someone said, okay, there's something happening in this area, you know, we immediately ask people to verify, and then it becomes easy to have people verify and say, oh, we actually saw this, oh, here's a picture, oh, here's a video. So in that sense, social media in many, many ways started doing its role, which is complementing, you know, the traditional media in that, which is having more people on the ground, more eyewitnesses to see, and more sources of news. We're seeing it. I mean, look at Qaddafi yesterday. None of us would have been able to see what happened with him if it wasn't for phone videos. You know, those people just took a phone video of what was happening, and we saw his last moments. Brutal as they were. So, in terms of social media, it's a tool. No social media apparatus can ever get people to revolt or, you know, or to start revolutions, but it could be a fantastic way to give them the information